We play and call it work.
Hey folks, Janene from MiniWarGaming here with another how-to video for you. In this video, we are going to continue work on this Fulgrim Primarch mini, and we are going to do a nice rosy gold on all of the sculpted wings and trim on his armor. As always, if you have suggestions for something you'd like to see in a future how-to video, please leave them down below in the comments. So for this metal trim, I want it to be a really nice bright gold. However, we're going to go with more of a rose gold look, or maybe a kind of rosy copper. So we're going to start out a little bit brighter than I usually do. We're going to use the color Brass Scorpion. We're going to mix it with a little bit of Lamian Medium. And we're going to apply this as an all-over layer. We're going to be putting it on this large wing that's coming off the shoulder. There's also a couple sculpted wings that come off the leg armor. We want to make sure that we get it down into all of the nooks and crannies and all of the gaps of the feathers. I want to paint these Aquilias at the end of each of the purity seals. There's a large Aquilia on the chest that I want to paint. And then I want to switch to a fine detail brush, and I'm going to carefully paint the outlining on all of the armor plates. It's a very thin line. I just want to go through and very carefully, very slowly paint it. I'm going to make sure that I have a good consistency to my paint so it's not too thick and it flows off the brush really nice and smooth, but it's not too thin so it's not going to pool anywhere or bleed. There's also a lot of scroll work on the shoulder pads and on all of the legs. So I'm just going to very carefully paint all of that detail as well. Just kind of taking my time, keeping my brush slow and controlled, doing small strokes and just kind of slowly controlling the color and making sure that I get a really nice defined line in this gold color. For this first coat, I'm really just concentrating on making sure that I get a little bit of paint on all of the details, making sure that I have all of the areas blocked out that I want to have this gold trim on. And then I'm going to go back with a second coat to make sure that I get a really nice solid color to start out with. So now that we have this Brass Scorpion applied, it's a really bright color, and we want to add in a few of the shadows. I'm going to use the GW shade Rooty Violet to add the shadows back into this gold. This is going to add just a little bit of a purple tint to my metallics and make them complement the armor. And it's going to have a different effect than if I had just started with a darker metallic, like maybe a Warp Block bronze color. I'm going to be putting this over all of the gold area. However, I want to be very careful as I apply it because I don't want it to go on too thick. So you can see that I load up my brush, I put it on the model, and then I smooth out that shade to the entire wing. So one little dollop of paint in my brush can cover a really large area. And I really want to make sure that I move that paint around and I get it into all of the recesses and I really spread it so it doesn't pool anywhere. And I get just a really nice thin layer that's just going to shade my metallic and it's not going to cover it. As I move on to areas like the shoulder pad, I'm also covering the metallic. However, I want to make sure that I don't get any of this onto the purple of the armor. And having this purple sheen is going to make the metallic seem a little bit more like that rose gold that I was mentioning earlier. It's going to tone it a little bit differently than if we were to just keep that Brass Scorpion color. We need to make sure that our shade dries entirely, and our next color is going to be Hash Hut Copper. We're going to paint this Hash Hut Copper color on most of the feathers of these wings, probably about 80% of the feathered area. We're going to start highlighting towards the end of the feathers, and we want to leave the darker Brass Scorpion color and the shade in the shadows between the feathers and towards the lower end. As we move on to highlighting the scroll work, we're going to be concentrating mostly on the center of each of these swirling lines, leaving the darker colors towards the outer edge. We want to highlight the very top of this shoulder pad. The area at the very top would be catching the most light, so that's where we want to have the metal be the brightest, and we want darker metal colors towards the lower ends of the arc of the shoulder pad. There's also one upraised leg, and at the top of that leg we want to have a little bit brighter than the lower area. After we finish with the hash hut copper, our next highlight is going to be with Gehenna's gold. With this color, again, we're going to be drawing the lighter shades towards the end of each of these feathers. And we're going to be painting about 50% of the area that we just painted with that hash hut copper color. This is going to make our metals a lot more yellow and start to make them a little bit more shiny. So it's going to tint it to be more gold than copper. Our last gold highlight is going to be with the color Arc Armor Gold. And we're going to be painting this over about 50% of the area that we just painted with the Gehenna's gold. This is really going to start to brighten the metal up quite a bit and make it seem a lot shinier. We're going to pick the very center of the scroll work again to highlight, as well as the top of the shoulder pad and the top of that upraised leg. Once we finished with the Gehenna's gold, we're going to do one final color, and we're going to use the color Runefang Steel. And I'm just going to do a very little line highlight of this in a few areas. I'm going to catch the very tip of these feathers on the wings. I want to catch the top of all of the rivets, anywhere that needs to look like it's shining a little bit. And with that final little pop of Runefang Steel, the gold on this Fulgrim model is complete. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more how-to videos, I have another one where I'm going to paint the black leather gloves on this mini in the MiniWarGaming Vault in the link down below in the description. If you don't already have a Vault membership, you can go ahead and click the link, sign up for a 7-day free trial, and get access to my tutorial, as well as hundreds of other videos in the MiniWarGaming Vault. So go ahead, click the link, start your free trial, and happy wargaming!